But I think this is like a pretty concise Warframe tier list. Let me just go through really quick. Okay, so we've got here. Let me just move this over here. So we've got Inaros, Limbo, Necros, Nidus, Wisp, and S. So Inaros is oppressively tanky. Limbo is oppressively versatile and does so many different game modes with like making them trivial. Necros is a loot frame in a loot game. Is tanky as fuck. Is like comparable to Inaros tanky with more management involved and gives loot and is just fantastic for survival game modes and just makes them trivial. Nidus is also tanky as fuck, requires more management than Inaros, but is more versatile. Can be used for endo grind and Rethum, just giving you so much fucking endo. It's like Necros, Nidus are two of the required frames for that grind, and they're both in S tier, so that tells you a lot about endo grind. Wisp, commonplace, great buffs, survivability, huge synergy between abilities if you want to use them. The buffs that she does give out are so strong. So useful, and it's 3 of them in one ability. Like, what can you even say? So that's my S tier. All 5 of those frames are very strong, and you don't see... You'll see a lot of You'll see a lot of Wisp, you'll see a lot of Nidus, but you won't see a lot of my top 3, which are Inaros, Limbo, Necros. You will see Inaros, you will see Necros, and you will rarely see Limbo. But the people that are using Limbo know what's up. Like, I'm just saying, like, Limbo's good. A tier. Ashe, passive, oppressive bleed procs from Sides and Nakanas in the meta right now. Passive, Seeking Shuriken, like, Ashe is good, he's invisible, rolling guard, fantastic. Brook, just got new augments, was good before, is better now, so he's definitely a solid A tier. Chroma, Profit Taker, fucking kills it, is strong, good for general play, decent for endless, but like, isn't quite oppressively strong. Equinox is go-to for ESO, fucking nukes rooms, is good for Sleepwinox, can be used for affinity farming, which isn't really necessary, can be used for conservation, which helps a lot. Xcal, now Xcal here is Xcal Umbra, and it also takes into account just like running Chromatic Blade. Xcal Umbra is gimmicky if you use Unairu to make allies invisible and give them 80% DR while they're invisible. And then having your Umbra just fucking auto-aim and fucking AI do the work. The AI is not the best though, so it's not S tier. And then just Chromatic Blade Xcal can never be anything less than an A tier because Chromatic Blade is strong as fuck. Gera is a fucking monster, however requires a lot of work to make her that strong. However, she can hit hundreds of millions of damage over time, so she's really good for that if you're really on the ball and you're really watching it. And in a squad is really, really strong. Gauss, a lot of people like Gauss, a lot of people use Gauss. I don't see why not. Gauss has a great kit. Gauss is tanky, Gauss is fast, Gauss does things. Redline is fucking cool. Gauss is great. Ivara is an invisibility frame. The invisibility doesn't break unless you run out of energy, which is huge. She can make herself immune to status effects with her Empowered Quiver augment. Gera is walking perpetual claymore mine, you're right. Ivara gets, Dashwire plus 100% crit damage when on Dashwire. Pickpocket for energy. Ivara is just really strong, can be used in conservation, is a great frame. Go-to for spy for me. Korra gets Pilfering Strangledome, more loot, more good. Pilfering Strangledome is kind of annoying though because it's static, like Tentacles as well. Static, whereas Desecrate on Necros, which is S tier, is just constant and follows you around. So Korra is really good, but like is really good in stationary scenarios like Endo Grind, which is part of the reason why she's A tier. Loki is Master Race. Loki used to be S tier. Loki is an invisibility frame. All of the invisibility frames, I think, are an A tier. Yes, all of the invisibility frames are in A tier. Correct me if I'm wrong. Radial disarm, fantastic. Your enemies are no longer shooting at you. You're invisible. Your enemies are no longer shooting at you. Decoy, your enemies are no longer shooting at you because they're shooting at a decoy. Loki is great, and Loki can, benefit from rolling guard to keep his invisibility up. Loki's fantastic. Mesa presses 4 and wins. Neja is basically Rhino. Rhino is strong. Neja is strong. A tier. Nova is good at making things go faster. You don't want to waste time? Fucking run your Nova on a defense. Do 5 waves in 3 minutes. Pretty much consistently up to like wave 30, depending on the level. You can also use her to make things go slower if you are lazy and you just want to dick around. Nova is great, A tier. Oberon is really strong. Oberon does a lot of things simultaneously really well. Oberon is support. Oberon is DPS buff. Oberon is tanky in and of himself on top of his support, which he gives to his teammates. Oberon's fantastic. Not quite oppressive, though, but very strong. Octavia should be an S tier, but isn't because the amount of work that's involved in using her. And how she just gets dumped on by nullies. Now, obviously, if you've played Octavia enough, you know how fucking strong Octavia is. Octavia has so many buffs packed into one fucking frame, like, it's unbelievable. Huge CC, make enemies kill themselves. Great. Rhino is basically Neja. Neja is strong. Rhino is strong. Rhino's great. Rhino's A tier. Saren used to be S tier, slightly nerfed, is still really fucking strong, but shines in certain game modes and not others, and I would never use her in every mission type. I would use her for specific mission types, and that's about it. She can nuke rooms, she can do fucking lots of work. Saren's great, A tier. Volt has shields that literally are invincible, and when you shoot through them, they deal a fuckload more crit damage. Stack 3 of them, deal even fucking more crit damage. Goes fast, nukes rooms. Volt is versatile, not simultaneously, but is very versatile. Great frame. A. Wukong doesn't care about death 3 times, and then he gets sick of your shit and he decides to die. He can also turn into a cloud, go really fast, heal himself. Also, he's got a buddy that is a clone of himself, so he's cool. He has a big-ass stick that he beats people with, which is nice. Wukong is strong. Wukong is tanky. Wukong has a fun kit. Wukong is A tier. Moving on to B tier. Atlas. He's a big boy. He punches people. He likes rocks. The true stoner. He is good, but he's not exceptional in any regard, really, so he's B tier. Banshee. Banshee starts with the letter B, and she's not bad. She's not great, but she's not bad, so B for Banshee. Ember. Ember got a rework that's actually really good, but I'd still never use Ember for anything. I liked Ember just pressing 4 and nuking an entire map while you walk through it for low-level exterminate. That's what that would have made Ember A tier. Ember does not have that anymore. Ember is B tier because she just doesn't. She's good, but she has no specific use. Frost is great. Frost, you fucking throw your globe on defense point, and as long as you're not like super high scaling enemies, you're fine. Avalanche strip armor, Avalanche nuke maps. Frost is good. Frost, everything that Frost does can be done better by somebody else in the higher tiers. So Frost is good, but not exceptional enough to hit A tier. Harrow. Harrow is good. Harrow is kind of niche for Eidolon hunts and gets... Yeah, please buff Frost. Yeah, no, I feel you. Harrow is pretty niche and is a shining example in Eidolon hunts, but like he's pretty much a support in Eidolon hunts, and everything that he does, with the exception of the crit buff, everything that Harrow does, Oberon does better. So if you're having a hard like if you don't have Ribbon for your Rubico or Vectis or your Lanka or what have you, or you don't know how to use a Redeemer Prime on the Eidolon to kill it, or a Paracesis, Harrow giving you extra damage makes that easier. But like the hardest part of the Eidolon fight, or the longest part of the Eidolon fight, is shields. Getting rid of the Eidolon shields when you don't have a squad planned with Void Strike and like using it properly. So shields are the longest, and Harrow doesn't do anything about that. Volt does though, because you can shoot through his shield. But Harrow is just like you get extra crit chance, whatever. Harrow's good for general play as well, but doesn't really shine in anything. Hildren is gimmicky, and invincible gimmick is cool, but she can also be just obliterated by a single dot in that case. And if you use her in normal play, she's fine, but she's not invincible. So she's good, but doesn't really excel at anything specifically, so she's B tier. Hydroid. Hydroid has arguably the best looting ability because it's a 100% chance to drop extra loot. However, the enemy has to be physically attached to the tentacle in order for that to happen. And that doesn't happen in a lot of situations. Like, for example, the one situation that you would need to use it in, Rathum Endo grind, he just fucking doesn't contribute anything at all, which is unfortunate. If you want to get mutagen samples for your Hema research in your dojo, that's a good boy to have, which is good. But aside from that, I wouldn't use him for anything except for just memes. Mag. Mag is great. Mag armor strips. Mag has AoE. Mag is greatly misunderstood and underused. Mag could compete in A tier, but she's not really needed for anything. If used properly, though, she is A tier. Is she used properly? No, she's not used properly. She's used to the extent of a B tier frame. 9 times out of 10. Maybe 99 times out of 100. Mirage. Mirage is gimmicky. Hall of Mirrors, you have 4 times the amount of projectiles, but not 4 times the amount of damage. Well, that's a shame. She gets a DR and a damage buff, I guess. She's got Revenant and a Disco Ball, and that's about it. And then also, coming up next, Mirage's Disco Ball can make thralls, I guess. Doesn't really do anything exceptional, isn't really in huge demand, like his abilities aren't in demand for anything specific, but he gets the job done and he's a useful frame, a B tier. Titania is getting a rework on her tribute, so they are going to be cyclable. I'm not sure how useful that is going to be. And because I haven't seen it yet or tried it yet, I'm not going to give it A tier. It has the potential to be A tier because buffs are nice, but I wouldn't use Titania for anything. And other frames give buffs, and they're better. So B tier. She works, but like, whatever. Trinity was A tier, isn't as required because energy management is what she was really good at managing. And energy management can be done a lot of different ways. Exodia Brave, Zenuric, Limbo Rift, Energy Siphon, all that shit. So she's good. She's still a great support frame. She works in Eidolons. Not a top support frame pick for Eidolon. Again, she's... In terms of Eidolons, she's Oberon, but doesn't give a DPS buff. So, yeah. Valkyr has Eternal War, which is fine. She has a Warcry, which is... The Warcry itself is great. She can become invincible, yes. Wisp is S tier and gives an attack speed buff. And the same ability also gives an HP buff and HP regen buff, and also a radial CC buff that procs electricity, which Condition Overload benefits from. So Valkyr just goes fast, but doesn't do anything else. So she's B tier, because at least she can go fast. Vauban got a rework. Vauban is good. Bastille is still Bastille. However, it is also Vortex, which is nice. So it's 2 abilities in 1, so he's better than he was, but he's not better enough to break out of B tier. So he's still B tier. C tier, Garuda. Why? She can heal allies, I guess, but Oberon's an A tier and can do that and give out damage buffs as well. She deals more damage the less health she is, I guess. So you can run a bleed out build and be gimmicky like that, if that's what you're into. That's about it. Infinite damage 1, technically. We're not going to go there. I don't think Garuda like needs to be anything above a C. I don't like Blood Altar is kind of cool though, because the new augment that came in immediately refills your equipped weapons magazine, which is fine. That's great. But like I was saying when I was putting her in the tier list, that if that ammo that goes into that magazine is just sort of pulled out of the void instead of your ammo reserve, that could be really strong for things like the comb. But if it just takes your ammo reserve and instant reloads, like it just saves you a 2-second reload time or whatever, 2-second average. So it's, I don't get it. Grendel eats people, I guess. He can turn into a meatball, I guess. He's tanky. But like there are frames in B tier that I would say are as tanky as Grendel. Like I would say, I mean like, okay, Atlas is tanky as fuck. You can't tell me he's not tanky. As tanky as Grendel? Maybe. Not as much health, but fuckload of armor as well. Harrow's really tanky because he can literally become invulnerable and he can give himself overshields. Harrow's really tanky. Hildren's fucking tanky, pseudo-invincible. And Grendel is just tanky and eats people. He's like top of C tier. He could be B, but like he's just not quite B tier. Zephyr makes C tier only because Zephyr can do Rope Alolas fight very streamlined. Other than that, Zephyr has like no use. Except for like maybe fashion, I guess. And Nyx is literally D for don't. So that's my tier list. That was my TLDR, the tier list that ended up being quite long.